Podcast is live. I think we're live.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. It says live.
It's Mike Birbiglia and Jennifer Hope Stein, Jennifer Stein. I think we're doing this right. I'm not sure, but I think we are. Our book came out today. You want to hold yours too?
I have one also.
They
gave us two.
They've given us two. That is the total amount of this book that they will give us in the process, I believe. And you can buy a signed copy on barnesandnoble.com. Right here, I signed, I believe, like 1,000 of these. At very least 500 of them for barnesandnoble.com. And you can buy them there. You can order them there. I believe the book is $28, and the signature is $5,000. So that's an unfortunate $5,000 and $5,028 is the total you'll see at checkout.
It's a very beautiful
for the signed edition. The signed edition is really expensive. So this book is out today. It was originally supposed to be out May 5th, but due to many factors was moved to today, and we would be in person at your Barnes & Noble where you are. However, I feel like something's happened recently.
Something, I forget what.
Something with like a virus or like
or
something. I can't remember why we couldn't do this in person, but
let us know.
Let us know if you know. If you know, let us know. And then we'll spread the word. You're the funniest. Great to see you. I once took myself to see you while delirious with pneumonia. Worth it. Thank you, Amanda Blythe Krotke. I'm sure I'm butchering that name. I apologize. By the way, hey, don't come see me with pneumonia anymore. This is the new world we're living in. We cannot go to anything when we're sick. But thank you. Thank you so much. Let's see. People. Okay.
I think we're supposed to introduce ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Or introduce the
So
book.
I'm Mike, and
I'm Jen.
and she's Jen, and this is the book.
I think we're supposed to say what it is.
Oh, okay. So the book is the book came about a few years ago because we had a child, and Jen and I were both writing about the experience of having a child, because I very adamantly never wanted to have a child, and that's what sort of the first half of the book is about. And then all the reasons why I never wanted to have a child. The second half of the book is about how I had a child, we had a child, and I was right, and then how I was wrong. And that's sort of how the book came about. A lot of it was Jen had written poems on similar themes, and we started to sort of put some of them on stage together and thought, well, actually, this could be something.
Yeah, we were originally kind of writing secretly from each other in our journals, notebooks, poems, things like that. And then once we started sharing them, they started kind of gelled together, I feel like, ultimately.
Yeah.
And we put them on stage and started reading them, and
Even there's a lot of crossover with our writing because we live in the same house.
Yeah.
And we apparently have the same daughter.
We have the same daughter, the same cat.
Same daughter, same cat.
We have a lot
same
in common.
house.
A lot in common. But we have two different books.
We're in love. We're in love as part of it.
In love.
So then we wrote a show together that went to Broadway, and then we wrote this book, which has, people ask this a lot, is it the same as the show? No. It's probably about 5 times more stories and jokes and anecdotes and poems. So it's actually it shares DNA with the show, but it's bigger than the show. I see a question on the screen that says, what has surprised you most about being a father? do you find, or mother, and what do you find yourself saying or feeling that you never saw coming? Well, it's funny because Oona's 5. She's in the other room watching
Dinosaur
Train.
Great show.
Really strong. If you
She's
have a
like-
5-year-old,
She's like an expert paleontologist.
hit that D train. That's not a double entendre. Double Dinosaur Train is a great show on Prime. And,
Maybe you're supposed to promote the book, not Dinosaur Train.
No, I'm here. It's a dual promotion for Dinosaur Train and
Is this sponsored by Dinosaur
the
Train?
new one. Our daughter's 5 now, and what I found is the thing that I make the most fun of in the book is what I describe as sort of zombie parents. These parents who are just like, it's the most joy I've ever experienced, and it doesn't feel on. It never felt honest to me. I was always like, what's the real story? What are you really thinking? And that a lot of the book is sort of like very, very kind of dark and humorous thoughts about how I really feel about all this stuff. And so one of the things I make fun of is how these parents, these zombie parents, will say, I'm seeing the world through babies' eyes. And I've always found that to be like annoying. And then, but it's true. They're right. The cliche is true. Oona's 5, and it becomes even like more apparent as they get older, as you really see the world through their eyes. And in swim class, and they're learning to read and all this stuff, and you sort of see all these things for the first time again. What do you think? Yeah. What's your experience of like how it's changed?
Well, I mean, Mike and Oona right now are like they're so close. There's like Oona's like Mike's mini me. I feel like they eat the same foods. They like.
There's a ridiculous video on my Instagram. Jen's on Instagram, by the way, at Hope Stein, and I'm on Instagram at @Birbiglia. Jen posts these poetry mixed media things all the time that are really fascinating. But on mine, I tried to do an ad for my new podcast, which is called Working It Out. And Oona tackled me while I was doing it. And it was way funnier than the actual ad I was doing.
Yeah.
And that's the final version. So check that out on @Birbiglia on Instagram. It's up to you. I think it depends on what these people are into.
Should we read from the book or no, guys?
Pete Holmes' voice, and I said Barnes & Noble into my GPS. That's funny, but I don't even know what it means. Can't wait to listen to your new podcast and read the new one and see the world through baby's eyes. How do you look so good during the quarantine? I feel like I look like hell. I feel like she's gorgeous because she's a natural beauty. Have you ever heard of that? A natural beauty. That means that you look beautiful even when you have nothing, no specific clothing or styling.
Tell them why you look so beautiful. Who cut your hair?
Oh, Jen cut my hair.
And
Oona too.
Yeah.
Oona contributed.
And then Mike and Oona cut my hair.
And we cut Jen's hair.
That's what we did to entertain ourselves.
Saw you live in Brea, California, probably at the Improv a while back. I've loved you grow as a comedian through the years. Thanks for making me laugh. Thanks so much, Jen Knopf Overton. I think I got that right. Thanks so much. That's a big part of my career. I've been just traveling around the country, going to places like Brea and Irvine, and Boise, Seattle. What do you find to be the most challenging part of fatherhood and parenting, and the most rewarding part? The most challenging part is that I think it just never stops.
Like today.
Yeah.
Well, it never.
There's no break.
I mean, literally last night was like Oona was sick, like sitting on the toilet and holding a garbage can to puke at the same time. So it's that kind of thing. It's on and on.
It doesn't end. That's the thing is like There's no pause for being a dad, or a mom. And then what's the most rewarding part? The rewarding part, and maybe this has been said by a million different people, but I think that a lot of people say like it's the most joy, and I don't think of it as being a lot of joy as much as I think of it as being like your aperture opens and you start to see things in a. If you think that's our cat
is
in our daughter's like nylon princess castle.
Our cat's just like.
And our cat's going, and that's what you can hear. Yeah. So here we are. The most rewarding part is your aperture opens and you start to see the whole universe through different lens, and I think that is rewarding. Loving the new podcast. Thank you so much. It's on all the places, Spotify and Stitcher and Apple Podcasts. And also, if you like the book, say on the comments of wherever you get it, Barnes & Noble or wherever, that you like it. This is what you realize when you release a book like this, where you're like sort of opening up and going like, here's all the stuff that I'm uncomfortable talking about because I'm embarrassed about it. Sometimes people will read it and they'll go, whoa, that's embarrassing. That is too much information. I'm like, no, I know. It's supposed to be. That's the goal. This book is not for you. But we intended it, too much information, to be comedically such. And but I think it is. Most people don't have a reaction, but one person did, and I found it almost comical.
It's almost like our best selling point. It's that it's too much information.
Yeah, too much information. Like it could be the new one, subtitle, too much information.
Yeah.
Comma, humorous.
It's a tell-all.
It's a tell-all. Yeah, it's a steamy tell-all. Someone says, how does Jen feel? Ian Strata. Now we got to do a graphic that has his picture and everything. That's pretty cool. Yeah. How does Jen feel about the thoughts you explore in the book as well as your special?
I feel great about it. I feel thankful that Mike explores his deepest thoughts, and I don't have to guess. Oh, that's my cat again. I don't have to guess what his. I don't have to guess what his deepest, darkest.
That's right.
Worries are every day because he can't keep them inside.
I've never heard you describe it like that. That's exact. I'm so glad that it makes you feel that way.
He must express them, so I don't have to like wonder what's going on in Mike's brain, and that's wonderful for me.
Yeah, because you know how in your relationship, how you're always like, wait a minute, my husband must be thinking about some crazy crap. In this one, I say it all.
He says
I say it to everybody.
It's not like,
I read it in books. I put it on podcasts. It is out there.
Yeah. Also, when Mike says things, it opens the door to me be able to have some things to say.
Wow.
So
you never say stuff like that to me. This is perfect. We got to do more of these live chats.
The way I see it is the more Mike can express how human he is. Is that our cat making that noise? The more I can express how human I am.
Wow. Thank you.
Oh my God, Mazzy's
she's
really purring loud.
There's a chapter about Mazzy called I Have a Cat, which is one of our favorite chapters, actually.
Yeah.
Do you still have to be zipped up to sleep? Does Oona help with the nighttime ritual? Yeah, I actually lately have been using a product that I'm not endorsing. I'm not like sponsored by them, but it's called RevPod. If anyone has a sleep disorder, look up RevPod. I think one of the owners of the company came to my show in Los Angeles and said, you know what, this is good for you. Usually people use them for traveling. It's sort of like a sack that you can put your arms into, and then like you can, whatever, it folds over your hands. And then
the other day you answered the door in it, remember?
The other day I answered the door in it.
I walked outside
in it. I take baths in it.
It's great for the pandemic.
Great for the pandemic.
It kind of covers your whole body.
But it's called RevPod. It's great. Enjoying the podcast. How are you this is Mark Attico says, how do you guys balance the personal confessional aspect of Mike's career with keeping boundaries around your lives? You answer that one.
A lot of discussion.
Many discussions.
I mean, Mike puts it all out there to me.
Like Oona last night.
Like he's kind of like an image would be sitting on a toilet with a garbage pail in his mouth. And then he is very considerate of my feelings, so he bounces everything off of me.
So what's the new show about?
And the other thing,
what's the new show about?
Wait, let me finish. The other thing is like sometimes he'll just perform stuff like on stage and I won't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to give this freedom because it's really important to his process.
Early on in the process of this, you did that.
Yeah. But then ultimately for our final product, we'll talk about everything and discuss what we're both comfortable with and what we're not comfortable with. And what I always say is things were actually much, much worse and much, much better than they sound.
We sort of agree on a truth. Like that's one of the things about like memoir genre as a genre, right? Like, this is in the memoir genre. Like someone like David Sedaris, he gets asked a lot, is that true? Because his stories are so wild, and they're so funny. He's like my favorite memoirist. And he says, true enough for you, which I think is a very funny response. But I think that with this book, we attempted to do a thing where we show both sides, or two sides, not both sides, two sides of the same story. And basically, you decide what the truth is. By the way, we should point out that if you go to BNN, barnesandnoble.com or bn.com, that's a good URL, by the way, bn.com. They must have got that early in the process. You can get a signed copy of the book while supplies last, and the link is over there in the public chat. Someone wrote, Jen's poetry is amazing, so honest,
Thanks.
so real, tugs at my heart and simultaneously uncomfortable. Thank you. That is from Caroline DeRosa.
Thank you.
De La Rosa.
Thank you, Caroline De La Rosa.
And her someone's writing above that. Christopher wrote, you're at J Hope Stein at Instagram. That's so sweet. What's the best piece of advice you'd like new parents to take away from this book? I have one. Do you have one?
Sort of. I don't know. Oh, from the book. Oh, I don't know. Here you go.
Oh, from this book. I don't know if I have it. I mean, I always say to people, sometimes people will think that this is some kind of guide to being a parent.
No.
It is not.
Definitely not.
It is not. Nope. I describe it as a guide to how to not be a parent, and in funny ways.
Well, I think what I was going to say is that, and I think the book is about this, is that it feels like...
Caroline De La Rosa says, need more Jen on Instagram.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to post
She's coming back tomorrow.
Tonight. I have a whole bunch.
Tonight.
After this, if my daughter gives me back my computer. So the question was advice based on the book.
Yeah.
What I feel like is that parenting so far, I mean, we're only 5 years in, it feels like stages. So if something feels a little bumpy, it's probably a stage that will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then
someone's saying Mazzy as in Mazzy Star.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
You're like one of the only people to ever get that, by the way. Mazzy Star. And her full name is Mazzy Star Macaroni.
Yeah.
Sorry, you had a good answer.
No. Mazzy Star Macaroni.
Mazzy Star Macaroni.
That's our next book. It's called Mazzy Star Macaroni.
That's my 10th book. That's my 10th book, Mazzy Star Macaroni. Mazzy has an issue where she pees on everything.
Yeah.
And it's...
She peed on that blanket the other day.
Just brutal.
It's really bad.
Brutal. We want to tell her she's a good cat, but sometimes she's not a good cat. This is a chapter called I Have a Cat.
It's a tearjerker.
Count it. All right. What has been the best part of... to answer the question of like advice for parents, whatever... Okay, this is your mom, dad, anything. Whatever your plan is for how you're going to contribute in a partnership to raise a child, double that or triple that and do way more than you thought you were going to do. Because that ultimately is where it's at. In hindsight, that's what I should have done the first year, which is, this book takes place primarily in the first 13 months of our daughter's life. And that, in hindsight, that's what I would have done. What has been the best part of working on the New One show and book together? Well, I made the joke on my email list this morning, which is and also you should sign up for that. If you like what we're doing here, go to birbiglia.com and sign up for my mailing list. I keep people abreast of things essentially before they're anywhere else. And I made the joke that writing a book with the person you're in love with is like doing couples therapy, except there's no therapist. And if that's not a comprehensive answer, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Because it was like therapeutic, but it would come down to like, okay, we'll put both of our points of view in and let them coexist.
Yeah, we had moments where like literally you're like, this isn't what happened. You'd read a chapter I wrote and you'd be like, that didn't happen.
That did not happen. There was a lot. Like, there's a lot.
Yes, it did.
There's a lot of things I would dispute. It's Mike's truth, and so I support that. But if I were to write the book myself, it would be completely different.
Someone's writing, are you guys planning on collaborating on another book? And Melody Bowen says, another book in the future. Jen, I've heard snippets of your poetry. It's all caps beautiful. So excited to start the audiobook tonight. That's so sweet. That's Melody Bowen right there. Thanks, Melody.
I would say like we didn't plan to collaborate this time. So I think this is my answer. If we were to collaborate again, we're not planning it now, but it might organically happen again. We just don't know. We just sort of have to follow the...
Well, yeah, like for example, this morning, Jen showed me a poem that she was in process with, and I was giving her thoughts on that. This is Mazzy Star Macaroni. Look at that beautiful, beautiful cat. She might be a Russian blue, but she's a street cat, so nobody knows for sure. Someone wrote, don't forget acting too. I know. I'm trying not to forget acting, but everyone keeps wanting to forget acting for me. Who's your favorite comedian colleague? My favorite comedian colleague was Mitch Hedberg, and then he died.
Oh, baby.
I know, it's sad.
It's sad.
I have a chapter about him in my first book, Sleepwalk with Me. He's brilliant. I would say my favorite living comedian to watch right now is Maria Bamford. She's phenomenal. John Mulaney's phenomenal. John Mulaney's on my first, the second episode of the Working It Out podcast, and we have a good chat. It was great. He and I did Tip Your Wait Staff together. Roy Wood Jr., phenomenal. If you watch his comedy specials, he's phenomenal. Have you had your kitty checked by the vet for a bladder infection? Oh, Jesus.
Why do you ask that?
Is that based on seeing?
No, because she peed.
Oh, right.
Yes, we actually have.
We have.
When she started peeing on things, it was like a trip we took years ago. That was the first time she peed on our couch. And
we're all over that.
We had the doctor come, nothing was really, took her blood, and
love the new podcast. Said it louder, must be true. That's a big old kitty, said Sam Weber. I've listened to the audiobook twice, says Caroline De La Rosa. That's so nice. Oh. I'm finding new things each time.
That's sweet.
Someone else wrote, oh my God, our Russian blue, the real mousewife of Massachusetts. Well, it's funny, John Parker, for pointing that out. It's a callback to the Massachusetts track on Thank God for Jokes, is that's a different cat. That was Ivan, who actually gets mentioned in the I Have a Cat chapter. Mm-hmm. Real Mousewives. Sleepwalk with Me is my favorite special you did. I'll tell you something funny about Sleepwalk with Me. You say it's a special, and it wasn't.
Never recorded.
It's in people's brains as a special. It was never filmed, but it was audio recorded. Mm-hmm. So the audio recording is on Spotify and whatever, Apple Music. And it's in apple pies. It's baked into apple pies, but it doesn't exist as a special. And I think What's going to happen is we're going to film it.
Yeah.
In the next year, we're going to film it because I ain't getting any younger, Barnes & Noble. I ain't getting any younger. One of these days. Oh, speaking of topics what's my next show about? Death.
His death.
My own death.
Yeah.
About natural causes. My new show is called YMCA Pool, and Jen doesn't like when I talk about it, but she conceives that that's what I'm writing about. So she accepts that I'm writing about it.
As an artist, I think it's excellent. As a listener, viewer, I think it's excellent. But as your wife, I just hate listening to you talk about your death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of imagine different ways that I would die, etc. In the live show I'm working on. What's harder, writing a book or doing stand-up comedy? Do you have any advice for fans who want to become writers? Biggest advice, go ahead. Biggest advice, honestly, is write every day.
Yeah, right.
It's writing. I mean, it really is like the people I know who are the most successful writers, and I mean like film writers, novelists, it's TV writers. It's people who become obsessive about writing to the point where they're basically addicted to writing, and the sort of the business of that follows. In other words, people who come at it from like the business side first and then the writing later, that's not a good recipe.
Yeah, I was going to say writing also. And I think like if you're too busy with a job or family and you don't have time to write a lot, when I first had Oona, I had no time to write. And my friend Ilya Kaminsky, who's a really wonderful poet, gave me this piece of advice, which is just to email myself one line a day, just like an observation or a thought or a concept. And that if I did that once a day, after 30 days, I'd have 30 little sentences or little pieces or little ideas or little images. And after 60 days, I'd have 60. And so it just sort of added up. And a lot of the poems that ended up in this book are from originally myself just emailing myself like one line a day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's harder, writing a book or doing stand-up comedy? Writing books is much harder. Writing a book is harder, for me.
Stand-up comedy is be harder for me.
Writing a book is harder. Making movies is harder. Honestly, making my podcast is harder.
Yeah, stand-up comedy is really hard. It's just that you're like a stand-up comedy Olympian.
Well, I'm a stand-up comedy. Like I've done it, the Malcolm Gladwell thing, like 10,000 hours. I've done it like 40,000 hours.
Yeah,
so much. I have so much of my life in the last 20 years has been on stage doing stand-up comedy that I don't find it to be challenging. I actually find it to be really fun. It's like pretty depressing during the pandemic that I can't do stand-up comedy, actually. Love all your specials. Thank you, Mary Haltigan. Sam Weber, Ben Weber. Sam Weber's comment is Ben Weber. Okay, Sam Weber. How do you think Oona will feel about your last special? Whoa!
She loves the toy drop.
She loves the toy drop, which Wendy McNaughton, Crystal Saka depicted beautifully on the cover. That's the toy drop right there. It's a world of toys. It's a metaphor. Ever heard of it?
Can we show them little you?
Sure. This is smallest author photo ever made.
Yeah, that's my great there.
Right there. Smallest author photo ever. And I go like that. And if you say to Oona, where's Dad on the cover? What does she do?
She goes.
Yeah, that's what Oona does.
Also, the book is dedicated to Oona. It says 4-0 in the beginning. So she's very much a part of the process of the book. And
not only that, like it's not something I will hide from Oona. As a matter of fact, we wrote it for Oona. I mean, we really like so much of the book is about honesty and about too much information. And I feel like that's how Jen and I feel is a way to find healing and connection with people is through opening up and telling people how you really feel, telling the people you love how you really feel. I think that there's healing in that. And so So everything that I'm preaching in the book, I actually do believe in it, and I would tell her as well. My son and I love you. We want more, says Debbie Column Teague. Thanks, Debbie. Alino Doino Weiler. I must be saying Doino wrong, though. Maybe Duano. Saw your new show in, can you bring that up again? Saw your show in Westport. Brilliant. Thank you. Do you have to pivot, change the content due to what's happening in the world? That's a great question. And actually, I dive pretty deep into that in the Working It Out podcast. I do, because so much about what my new show is about reaching middle age. I turned 42 this Saturday. Thank you so much. Will there be pizza?
There's going to be a pizza party. Yeah.
Pizza party.
Just the three of us.
3-person pizza party. Things are going to get
how many pizzas?
Crazy.
Pizza math.
I think there'll be 2 pizzas.
Mm.
Happy birthday, Mike. It says the bottom of the screen.
What you don't know is also my birthday.
Jen's birthday is the 23rd. June 23rd. Count it, Barnes & Noble. Count it.
And Oona's graduating from preschool this week.
Who's graduating from preschool? A quick reminder, Barnes & Noble signed copies are on barnesandnoble.com.
Sign them for hours.
The link is in the thing. I signed these for hours. The least you could do was buy a signed copy. Do you have to pivot to what's happening in the world? Absolutely. And for the next year on the podcast, I'm actually going to talk that through in real time, because so much of the show is about death and natural causes. And because of the deep, deep, deep sadness of the pandemic and what we're experiencing right now all over the world, you really do have to think about what is people's experience when you talk about death and you talk about all these things that are very delicate. And in comedy, we're always trying to figure out where the line is and then get close to the line, but ultimately not cross the line. And so you're sort of getting up close to it. I was actually talking to Ira Glass the other day, and who was a big champion of the show. He was a producer of the show and big champion of this book, and he gave us a lot of notes along the way. And I was telling him extemporaneously some of my new material for the new show, and some of it he thought he really liked, and some of it he was like, I think that is too dark. And when Ira Glass says something is too dark,
that's our cat.
It's dark.
It's our cat trying to get our attention.
Who does Oona act more like, you or Jen?
Oona is a mini Mike.
Oona,
They're like twins.
Oona reminds me of myself so much that I literally burst into laughter sometimes at how absurdly on the nose it is that she.
Even to the point of the shape she makes when she sleeps is the same shape you make when you sleep.
Yeah.
It's the same shape with the arms up.
But she has your smile.
Mm-hmm.
She's my eyes and your smile and your nose and my hair. I used to have hair, long blonde hair when I was a kid. Yeah, she's a big mixed person, mix of us both. Just bought a signed copy. Oh, wow. Thanks, Kristen Udstuen. This is an exercise in just saying people's names wrong. Udstuen. There's no way it's Udstuen. Udstuen. Do you guys always get along this perfectly?
Unless we're talking about bread.
We get in a lot of arguments about bread.
In the Barnes & Noble interview.
We do. Yeah, I think we get along. This is how we get along, I think.
Yeah, I mean, unless there's
right?
an issue. There's issues. We have issues.
I don't have any issues.
We have issues.
Apparently,
they're all in here.
Apparently, this one has issues. This one is doing great and is perfectly satisfied.
There you are. Rituals.
Do you have any particular writing process? Can I say cursing? It's not cursing.
Right, well,
No, I write while I'm. No, I was gonna say. No, not that either. I was gonna say since the pandemic, my writing process has gone to hell.
Oh.
I mean, I think it's garbage. I think my writing rituals are just gone.
It's different.
It's
Hey,
hey, baby.
you okay? You're hungry? Okay. No, don't stay there. I'll be there.
You will have no food and you will like it.
This is what he's like as a dad. It's really cool.
You'll have no food and you will love it. So that's my parenting style. Sort of like, I don't know, sort of like winging it, just winging it every day. Today my thing is like no food for you, like a disciplinarian. Do you get more out of the podcast, stand-up, or writing, or do they hold a special place? I get the most out of writing. David is from David Drake. I get the most out of stand-up because it's interactive. It's just like a thing that I feel like it's where I'm most comfortable.
Yeah, and I'm most comfortable just like privately writing by myself, never showing anything to anybody. But what I've actually learned in this process is showing people your work is a good part of the process for me at some point.
You've learned things?
I'm learning things every day.
Unbelievable.
I learned it from you.
I learned chapter 1 that I love my marriage.
Yeah. Did you really have to learn that, or did you know that?
No, that was one of the reasons why I never want to have a child. But if you read I Love My Marriage, you'll find out that Jen's always written under a pseudonym. It's Allen Ginsberg, and no, it's J. Hope Stein, and that I've always had a pseudonym as the super fan of J. Hope Stein. And his name is Ember Bones.
He was my only fan, Ember Bones.
And now she's out of the poetry closet, and so now it's just like actual fans.
I kind of miss Ember Bones writing me emails.
Yeah. Well, now that you went public, you get more out of podcasts. Oh, we heard that. Something about Orlando. Someone said, Mommy is watching, Sarah Gaff, Mommy is watching Birbiglia. Go make your own pasta.
First of all, Oona already ate pasta before we even
That's Sarah Gaff. That is funny. Mommy is watching Birbiglia. Go make your own pasta. Good one, Sarah. That's what I always say about my fans is that you're the funny. I don't have the most fans, but I have the funniest fans, and I will take that to the grave. And that's a good example of it. I need to hear this story a lot. Oh, I need to hear this story, LOL. Yes, it's all in here. It's all in here. I think they're just, I don't know. Trying to, let's see. All right. We got 5 more minutes. So let's scroll through and find whatever we think is the best question here. Do you know how blessed you are to be given a gift of facial expressions? Funny facial expressions, but also your storytelling ability. You could have been a one-liner slapstick guy. You know what's funny about that? Jen says it all the time.
So that's why.
I'm like slapstick around the house.
Yeah. He's like a goofball. You know, he's like.
It's true. Like the stuff that really kills around here when you have a 5-year-old, physical comedy.
And puns.
Puns are huge. Physical comedy is huge. Slapstick is huge.
Remember today you did Manuka honey, give me all your money.
Yep. So I gave Oona some Manuka honey. She's obsessed with Manuka honey right now. And so I told her secretly in her ear, I go say to Mom, Manuka honey, give me all your money. And so she thought it was a riot.
And she whispered it to me, and it really did make
Look, signed copy ordered. Thanks. Ronit Rowe. Thanks, Ronit. Man, I apologize for botching people's names. People have been botching my name, Birbiglia, for years. So I apologize, but I also know how it feels. I love your Olive Garden Italian story about you and your dad. I have a similar story. They used to serve Principato wine at Olive Garden, and when we eat there, my dad would order some, And when they'd serve it, he'd get his driver's license so he could show his last name was the same as the wine. That's from Rachel Principato Goodman. That's a good story, Rachel. That is a solid Olive Garden story. I watched all your Netflix specials this past weekend to ease the pain of the canceled Wisconsin show on my 31st birthday. Can't wait for next April. Yes, that's actually important to note. The tour is being moved essentially 1 year. And I know that seems insane and like bananas, but it's real. Everything's being moved like 1 year. But if you listen to the podcast, we're going to make the show that much better. Every week, I'm working to make the material stronger and stronger and stronger so that it's going to be a better show than it was.
Somebody said that you're like, somebody said that they're a preacher and they study you for their sermon.
Who said that?
It's up a little bit.
No. Where's the link to buy a signed copy? Says Monica Shin. Could someone chime in for Monica? Because I've seen someone post a link to it.
I'm a preacher.
Where's it at?
I'm a preacher.
Okay. Dean Kuist says, I'm a preacher and I study your stand-up. You have a gift. Best sermons I've ever heard. That's so nice, Dean. I wanted to be a priest when I was a kid. True story.
That's why I pointed it out.
True story. When I was a kid, my joke is I was an altar boy as a kid, and the answer is no, it wasn't. And I think it's because they knew I was a talker. But I was my goal. I wanted to be a comedian, a rapper, an owner of a pizza restaurant where third graders could hang out, and a priest was one of the things I wanted to be. And because I was very religious as a child, and then I became a priest of sorts, which is of humor. I'm a priest of humor, the religion of comedy. All right, we're wrapping up in 3 minutes. You have a podcast? How did I miss that? Says Monica Shin.
It just launched yesterday.
It dropped yesterday.
3 episodes.
3 episodes.
They're pretty great.
Ira Glass. Watch it. Listen in order. Ira Glass, and then John Mulaney, and then John Laster. In the John Lester episode, we talk all about Black Lives Matter and his experiences with police over the years, and it's really, really emotional. I listened to it the other night when we were editing, and it's really, really special. So I would listen to all 3 in order. It's in all the places.
And then next week is Hannah Gadsby.
In 2 weeks is Hannah Gadsby. Next week is you and the lead singer, Matt Berninger, and his wife from The National, and we talk about collaborating in marriage. So those are the next 2 weeks. So a bunch of people are putting the signed copy link for the Barnes & Noble book in the comments. So if anyone needs that, it'll be a signed copy of this.
So this club past the sunships.
This club past the sunships. And by the way, the books are signed by me. I signed thousands of these books. Jen sort of bailed on signing the books and said that no one would want her signature on the book, which is not true. But then someone was saying, do you guys always get along so well? That's the kind of thing where we don't get along about it. Because I'm like, no, people do want your signature. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, they don't. Yeah. And then I just have to be like, all right, well, I know I'm right, but okay, I'll just let it go. I'll let it go because I'm easy breezy.
I'm going to get in trouble later.
I'm laid back.
If someone said, if I buy a signed copy, would you please harass my kid?
Krista White absolutely will harass your kid.
You should do a live Instagram where you just harass
children. Get back here, you kid! Get back here! What's your kid's name? That's the. I'll do a cameo for you. I'll do. Just tell me. She has to put her kid's name up, and then I'll do. It's Matt and Corinne. Yeah, Christopher Gestig is saying, "Yay, Matt and Corinne." Yeah, Corinne at the liquor store. If you're a real National fan, can we put back up on the screen what her daughter's name is? Oh, and someone's saying your hubby is right. Monica Shin says that people want the signed book with your signature.
Yeah.
Boom.
Like one person.
And that's what we learned at the Barnes & Noble virtual event.
I'll sign
Caden. So Caden.
Don't yell at Caden.
Hey, Caden.
No.
Get out of the fridge. We only have a little more butter. We only have enough butter for one more piece of toast.
Butter.
I don't know. I don't know what the situation is. Okay, we're wrapping it up. Can she sign mine as Chloe? I'm telling you, these people all want you to sign it. Have you given up on being right? Yes, clearly. I'm just here for the raffle. It's very funny. Good callback. Big fan of your work, says Joe Pye. Don't Think Twice. It's one of my favorite comedies ever. Thank you so much. Can't wait to read the book. Jen's poems in your special are amazing. If you like those, go to @JHopeStein on Instagram. There's even better ones. Better than that?
I'll be posting
better
some
than
tonight.
that. She's posting some tonight.
And tomorrow I'm excited.
So I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining thank you for joining #BNE Events Live with Mike Birbiglia, J Hope Stein. Again, go to barnesandnoble.com and get a signed copy of the new one. If you're able to tweet about this or post it on Instagram, post an image on Instagram or Facebook where you are right now, please do, because in these times of the pandemic is a very strange time to try to spread the word. And so the word of mouth of you guys watching this, our friends watching this right here, is you can explain the book better once you've read the book to people than I think even we could, because we wrote the book, we didn't read the book.
I barely remember what's in that book.
We have no idea what's in the book. Thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.